understand the signal. Once we understand the signal, the application form will actually mature itself into the correct SHA of 1 on 2 and 3 on 5. But if 1 on 2, 3 on 5 is intuition of the mind power, the internal will actually be developed into the amnesia and to correct SHA, the inconscient or no. And in that matter of time, you will rework into the future to participate into anasa or no. And the third amount of anasa is to shuno mini dara, because the third figure is the social in relation to Mankasam, but the reversity of the crash is that the obeying the law is an intuition of the level, and in that way each level is an intuition of alana. But the third development of alana is that you do not pursue the element of the Sha, and within that way you cannot know how to produce the engineer of the third amount of technical support to support the soul hai. And in that way, when you balance the engineer, the inano and shanghai or mon person is the position of each pointer, and to one development of 3. Sequential application 4, platform 10. Reverse intuition. Of Sha. And in this Sha, it is a third way to develop. Third way to develop the Onchongshong, to program the data. When you program the data based upon the Shongshong, the transmission of the orbit will personalize into the Sutong Nongong. Based upon that sender, based upon the transmission of the sender, the sequel of the application form is that you have not adjusted the idling program, because in so, the third amount of wisdom area is the confunction of inner say, and the inner say is based upon the sender with the transition of the protocol, because the broader you get, the monofiber will develop the insha. And in that way, with the widened area, the confunction of your monofiber is an instrument of knowing how to divert into the Shina. And within that time, the Shukunu, with the third development of Jina, the black hole will widen. In what way? If it is in so, the third development of technical support is to order the confunction of monofiber to income the dati, and the dati to income is that the sequel of the application form you will rework into the orbit, no, into the confunction of messy. So when it's messy, the confunction of the orbit is that the timer will sequel into ana shon. The review to support the ana shon is ana, and the position to call the instrument of level. And in that time, with the tunnel, you do not orbit the missile. But in that way, when you conjunction the orbit, the timer will intercue the L. But in that way, with the Rongshang, it is Obmana in relation to the review to Howholder, no, vision, and in relation to vision to orbit into the consumption of the missile, it is a conscience. The zero and the kanjaha is the fifth way to know how to unlock. But to know how to unlock, it is a code producer to income the design and also to reproduce the time. And in that way, when it does that, the signal of the application form will mono into a line. But to review the support code blow, the sa of the non you hold into the crystal, opening wide into sha. But each crystal of the sha is not allowed by D-Lang link, but the D-Link is the function of the timer and also to review the support soul. But the measurement of the idling program by the departure of the fifth review supporting the cold show is a polarize the ananon and the ananon or whatever is the function of knowing how to produce the function. Each material is a function of knowing how to reproduce the one to design the thinking of plots. But the thinking of plots is based upon the sha and is to instruct into the ono. And in that way, with the third amount of tissue, the linkation has not been executed into form. But in that way, if there is a sono monotone, then the satellite will beam into 21 points of depth. And in that way, with the depths, the subplots, the ink plots, the noun plots, unbreakable, is to the conform of life, but we will support the soul. And in that way, when you are incoming the plots of thinking, you will realize that the confunction of a pointer is the conferment of life based upon the decimal, and in the decimal, the conferment of life is the concussion, and the concussion is based upon the santan mono, and in that time, with the third amount of development, the confunction of life is based upon the monoctan of 38-degree syntax error. And in relation to the syntax error, the confunction of time is 21, 5, 10 times 21, 5, 6 equals, and the decimal of this equals is the confilio of knowing how to produce the income production. And the income production is that the wider it goes, the lesser signal it will perform into the confunction of enonanan. With the satellite based upon the beacon of a pulsar, you will review Tupong Anana Ruru Ono by the revision mirror to separate into the production of the service producer. And in that manner of time, with the application sum, it is 21, 55 to 8 times 2, 5, 6184 data. Set error. And in the set error based upon the listening of 2841, it is the confunction of the syntax, and in relation to the syntax, the television will program into the sequel of revenge, because in Eno, by the kingdom of heaven, is how you will shoot through Poseidon. Let no. So within that, if you do, the revision to support the Soho is that the listen of the confinement of timer is that the wono and not tino. So in that review to support the Soho is that the nono is the manai of don't know who came up with. No idea. Ask my mom. I used to play with them. But anyway, in the corner for is a subsong of the syntax error, and in that way, if there is an error based upon the sha, it is the dark sham of the blower, and in that way, the points. Who's that dude? Bishop said to me, knife. But anyway, in relation to this prefix, the sino, how to roll into don't know. The last amount of this. Oh, I shouldn't say that. Don't. You know. Anyway. No, just kidding. Beaming. Progressive. Reuben. Beaming progressive is based upon E. The progressive is beaming into Anshang. And in that way, if there is a review to support the coal blaster, is an indication of how progressing it will need to know the bar. And in each bar, the sonshon of the par is the play of knowing. But the instrument based upon the monophonpon per sha is that complete. But in that way, Dokshono is that plot. But the plot of the sequel of thinking is that how the Reuben words in relation to the vocabulary of the progressive. Don't know. But in the progressive based upon complete, then how do we progress the horizontal. What happened last night? But in that way, the progression, sort of, next time, is a more like that, and il no. So the insole is that the flosion is 1 on 1 to sub-row the 3 on 2 and 3 on 6. But if there is an il no in relation to flosion, the latter side is the crucial by the tensum, and in that time, with one review, is the subla in relation to the pinson and the timer. But each way it goes, it is the alana of the article. Blind people, eh? No. The conjunction of prime. And in the prime, to know how to angle this, then the introduced producer we mark out one is the Greek Orthodox. But in time, with the impersonal of the Greek Orthodox, the third dimension is a and in that time, is there E or no shine? Then in the matter of time, the sun blasts down. Through Instagram, the technology. But the black spider, where to know to open, but in time, to know to open. If it pops out, you can know. Greek Orthodox. No. Just decoration. And around a room. But anyway, in the timer of this, in the future, if you something in relation, I hope the satellite fit in my car. I'll go get it in a minute. Oh, what am I doing? Oh yeah, I want to put it up there where the Buddha is. Easy to connect. Voila. So in a matter of time, we will get a shitload of beacon. No, I should. But when we share the beacon, it costs money. But then, let's see, I'm not going to say it. But anyway, in a matter of time, when we apply for the application form and stuff like that, I'll help you guys to understand the beacon and the bean and stuff like that in relation to whatever. But I'll do it later. I'll get that in a minute. It's a bit hot. But anyway, in the sequence of the application to comply with the form to make the satellite is that when it beacons through the instrument of the police army is that we will terminate into Albert Ono Hudson, and in Albert, that second surname Hudson is based upon the transition of the data to comply with the missing points, and in any missing points for the plural or the point of view, we cannot eat hamburger. Yeah, yeah. And in that way, hamburger. And in a matter of time, when we have, this is just like a creative idea, like house there, house there, house there, satellite, satellite, antenna, antenna. It goes like that. I doubt it. It's just a quick creative idea, but in that way, if it beacons up, oh my god, all the galaxy will open in a no, it does. It does. Don't know where, but anyway, based upon the subdivider, is it popping out? I think so. There you go. God, but anyway, INSO with the animin and amnesia, it is the maximum number of data for the telecursion to port the cohort. And in this matter of time, I used to read a lot about this. I don't know what the band is. I don't know what the color the band is. But anyway, but in that matter of time, when we comply with its own maturity, is a supplement of or hamburger to eat well, whatever you call it. But in imagine if a spaceship flies all the way through this planet like that. I'd be amused. Don't know what's yet. But anyway, that's it. The conflict based upon the default form is that the pins somehow, I don't know what they are, but anyway, later. Anyway,